Hey there, I am Christie Ruffino, former broke single mom turned CEO of 2 six-figure businesses and best-selling author with 15 books. But it wasn't always like this. Not long ago, I was a hot mess. Yes, I did a lot of things right, but mostly I was throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what would stick. Fast forward past many failed attempts and a few incredible victories, I not only get to share what I've learned along the way, I get to bring together top influencers as they share their empowering stories, insider secrets, and valuable resources that can be used right now to step into your power. So, if you're an ambitious entrepreneur, or possibly one in the making, and you're looking to create a business and life that lights you up, well, then you're in the right place. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Mastery Unleashed podcast. Do you want to awaken your inner warrior? Well, if so, you're going to want to tune in to today's episode where I have the pleasure of interviewing Megan Nolan. I met Megan, oh my gosh, well, I actually didn't meet her officially, but we were kind of like hanging out in the same communities for the last few years, and I just met her recently. And she's an amazing woman. And this is going to be like, it's honestly a super exciting show. We just got done recording and she shares so many great nuggets of wisdom of how we can kind of become more empowered and stand in our purpose and align our mental and physical energy to just accomplish great things. Megan helps purpose-driven entrepreneurs get out of self-care overwhelm by creating a meaningful morning routine that leaves them feeling amazing. And she sets them up for massive momentum every day through her process. She is the creator of the Purposeful Powerhouse Practice, which is her unique combination of yoga, toning exercises, and mental fitness that gives you the tools you need to amplify your energy and impact in all areas of life. And she has an upcoming book release that is super exciting. And she kind of talks a little bit about her book and how it's definitely something very unique, not like, most professional help books out there, not like most yoga books out there. She really combines it all to kind of give a unique spin that will really kind of get you out of your normal thought processes and help you just, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm using the wrong words, but reprogram your energy in a way that will give you amazing success. So let's get right to it because I know you're intrigued. I'm hoping you're intrigued and that you're captivated to watch today's show. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show. I'm really excited for you to meet my guest today, Megan Nolan. Welcome, Megan.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here too.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. I know, oh my gosh, we have, or at least maybe you didn't know me, but I've kind of been stalking you for, well, maybe not stalking you, but well, kind of for the last year, just kind of, we're in the same circle, our JV community. And I think the first time I saw you was on a Zoom, maybe about 2 years ago, because it's been a while. And I'm like, whoa, look at her. Like you just like stood out on the screen. You stood out when you spoke. And then I've known so many people that have done things with you, giveaways, summits and stuff. And I just kind of see you all over. And then recently I'm like, wow, I've never actually connected with her. So I don't even know how we got connected, but we got on a Zoom, we got to know each other. And I just thought, my gosh, I've got to have you on my show. And here we are.
Yay, thank you. Well, thank you for all those sweet compliments. I know, I feel like we've known each other, at a distance for quite some time. I've definitely seen your name and your beautiful face. And so it was super fun to chat a couple weeks ago. And it is really fun to be here today. So I can't wait to connect with you and your community.
Yeah, and the topic, like right away, I'm just like, this is perfect. It's awaken your inner warrior. And I could just see a picture with you and this big like sword and your inner warrior, like just coming unleashed. And I really encourage the women in our audience to just really like step into their power. And I know today we're gonna be able to give them a little bit of good nuggets, right, to help them. But how did this happen
Yes.
for you? Like, did you just wake up one morning and think, oh, I'm going to be on this path of energy and helping people awaken their inner warrior?
Well, no.
It doesn't usually work like that. I know. I always ask, but no, I get a, well, no. As a matter of fact,
As a matter of fact, there was a day, there wasn't one particular day, but there was many days before that that were rough and rocky that led to that day. So I don't know if I could say it was just that one moment, but let me take you back to it a little bit because I know it's something that your community of women and especially other entrepreneurs might relate to. So about 7 years ago, still growing my business, and so I'm a personal trainer, yoga instructor, and recently became a mental fitness coach. And at that point was really going all in and trying to make it happen and was doing all the things, trying all the funnels, trying to figure it out, and got to the point where I was giving, but not giving to myself, giving without a boundary around what I could do, when I could do it, all of that, because I felt like you had to go all in to bring your dreams to life. And as such, found myself at that flat out, rock bottom, burnt out, exhausted, in the spiral of doubt and worry and sadness and confusion. And do I have what it takes? Am I ever going to make it? Maybe something's wrong with me. Moment that maybe you can relate to. And you're,
yes, absolutely. And I'm sure many of the people in our audience can relate to that.
Mm-hmm. And so I see you. I totally get it. And I believe that that's part of this is that's the drive that you have in your spirit and in your soul is what's calling you forward, but sometimes it can be a bit relentless. And that was the stage of my life. And what I call that state of being is the worn out entrepreneur. The go, the waking up in that frantic brain state of, there's so much to do. You got to get going. Can't stop, won't stop. Don't even have time to stop. Got to get my phone, got to check all the apps and, all of that sort of frantic, frazzled energy. Whereas that took me to the point of being so exhausted that I literally had nothing left. And I would lay on my yoga mat every morning and just cry. And that was my yoga practice. And sometimes that's yoga, and yoga takes many forms. And luckily, yoga doesn't judge you. You just get to the mat and you just be there and you're still technically doing yoga. And so was at that point of, I don't know what to do. I really was in confusion and was ready to kind of throw it all in and give it all up. And as I lay there in that sort of spiral of anxiety and worry and doubt and all of that inner dialogue that's usually not quite very encouraging or loving.
Yes, no.
That we all know so well. And I was laying there and I was watching this little leaf and it was on a spider web and it was just spinning in circles. And I was thinking, wow, that's totally what I feel like right now, barely hanging on by a thread, doing it all, going in every direction, getting nowhere. And as I laid there, it was almost a surrender. It was not almost, it was a complete surrender because I was so exhausted. And that's when I finally heard this little voice, the voice of my soul, the voice of my spirit, the voice of my warrior self that we all have within us say to me, this is not your path. There's more for you. You're a warrior. You'll find the way. And I didn't really know what that meant. And warrior means something different to all of us. But to me, what it means is standing in your purpose, knowing that you have a reason to be here. You have a fire in your soul and you are here to make a difference and be a change maker and go out and be the most vibrant, alive version of yourself. And so I didn't know it at that time, but I've come to realize that's what it means, at least for me. And that began the journey. That was that day when I said, things finally changed, but it really was that getting to rock bottom, having to recognize that I couldn't keep going. I didn't want to keep going. And so that was the beginning of my warrior's journey, which is the title of my new book that's coming out. And so to me, that was really the jumping off point into the work that I'm doing and what we're going to be chatting about today.
Yay. I love that story. And you know what? It's definitely relatable to me in my journey. I've had many moments where I felt like I was hanging on by a thread. But I didn't surrender. I just kept plugging along and working with so many women throughout the years and helping them get their stories together and seeing how that mess had brought them on the path of their mission. And I love where you say, to you and warrior means standing in your purpose. And that's like so true, because once you're able to kind of stop going in the paths that everybody else either thinks you should go or you think you should go to make other people happy, and you start following the path that you are designed to take, it's like a whole new ball game.
Absolutely, 100%. And that is the evolution. So as I mentioned, that state that I was in then, and what many of us sometimes find our state in, and I have gone back there periodically, but luckily I have the tools to come back. That's that frantic, frazzled is the worn out woman. But when you get to the state and you have the tools that we're going to be talking about and that I share in the book, is when you can show up and live intentionally and on purpose as your purposeful powerhouse self. When you're tapped into your power and you're living as that one that thinks on purpose, moves on purpose, breathes on purpose, and does all of those things with intention in alignment towards your vision, and shows up as your purposeful powerhouse CEO self. Hello, look out. That's the unstoppable force we're looking for.
I love that. Unstoppable force. Okay, so you are now, I love, a mental fitness coach. You said that earlier, and I'm like, oh gosh, I've never heard that before, but I love that, how it's taken everything you've done as a personal trainer, right? You said personal trainer initially, and a yoga instructor, and your journey that helps you kind of now help people on a completely different path, but all intertwined. How has that changed your life? Not your business, but how has that changed your life?
So mental fitness is based on a framework developed by a man named Shirzad Chamine, and the framework is called positive intelligence. And so it's strengthening the muscles of the mind so that you can take control of your mind and learn to think on purpose. One of the muscles is the self-command muscle, and that's what we strengthen when we do meditation. But the reality is there's other muscles in your mind that are needed to be strong so that you can move towards your vision. And one of them is recognizing the characters of self-sabotage, which I call the negative committee in our head, which we all have. All have. And then learning to pause, recognize when we're in that, come back and take command of your mind, and then be intentional about the actions that you take, because you're living from that place of center and connection to self as your warrior self. So for me, the parallel between the yoga practice, which, as you can see, if you're familiar, it's pretty similar, right? It's learning to witness ourselves and our habits, recognizing when we're out of alignment, whether that's physically, if you're standing on one foot and you're like, whoa, it's wobbly, you're out of alignment, and you come back to that steadiness. So the parallels between the yoga practice and the mental fitness are, because that's what we're doing in mental fitness as well, is we're recognizing like, oh, there I am again. Oh, I'm changing the font. I'm changing the brand color. I don't want to show this to the world. I don't think it's good enough, and all of that stuff that we all do. And when we catch ourselves in that, then we say, oh, am I in alignment with my vision right now? Not so much. Am I moving forward? No, not so much. I'm stuck in that sabotage habit. And so catching yourself in it and coming back, right? And so for me, the two frameworks of yoga and mental fitness have literally been the most drastic, impactful, lasting shifts that I've ever experienced. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate for sharing them, but also sharing them simultaneously, because separately they're great. But when you bring them together, because they're so aligned and complementary, when you bring them together, then now we're talking, because that's when we start to experience significant change, both in the mind and the body, because we can't do one without the other. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, as visionaries, we're very much in our mind, right? We're creating things, we're clever. We were laughing before, like, how many
Yes.
tabs do you have open? Well, 1,000,001, you know, and so
Right.
that's our nature. But we sometimes on that mission and on that drive, we forget, oh yeah, guess what? Yeah, you have a body. And in order
Yes.
for you to cross your finish line, you need your body to be healthy and strong. And
Oh,
I believe you actually do need to be healthy to be ultimately successful. So why not do both? And why not do it simultaneously?
yeah. Yeah. You know what? Not even crossing the line, but running the race well, you need to be healthy. You need to have your body in alignment with your mind. So that is so good. All right. We're going to take a quick break. I really want to thank you for sharing your story. I didn't know that about you. I didn't know like how this all came together. I didn't really know all of your credentials, but yeah, it's pretty impressive. And we're going to take a break and then we're going to come back and we're going to dive in so the audience can learn how to awaken their inner warrior. So hang tight, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is Christie and Megan Nolan, and we're talking about how you can awake your inner warrior so you can be more aligned and create kind of better results in your life and business, if that's what one of your focuses is. So I know that our daily habits are an important part of kind of creating what we want, right? Like having some sort of habit. So why is that important to kind of create good habits that are in alignment with what we're doing?
Because that really sets the tone for everything. And we already have habits.
Yes.
How supportive and aligned they are, that's the question.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
one of my focuses is morning routines. And a lot of people tell me, oh, I don't have time for a morning routine. Well, you already have one.
You already
Let's look
have
at what
one. Exactly. It may not be the best one, but you have some sort of routine.
Right, exactly. And so going back to what we were talking about before the break about running the race and getting to the finish line, it is that a nice analogy for it is the race, you know, and think about, and I have a kind of really quick but funny story. A friend of mine who is a triathlete. I live in Hawaii, and at the time I lived on the Big Island, and so that's where they have the Ironman. And so as someone who loves fitness and exercise, you know, I was working at a gym, and so he was training at the gym, and so we all decided to go and support him. And so if you're not familiar in Ironman, you run, you know, I believe it's 28 miles, you swim 5 miles, and then you bike like 100 miles. So it's, you know, each one of those is pretty significant. And so we were waiting for him at the finish line. And, you know, some people were leaping across the finish line, just, you know, graceful gazelles, like they had done nothing. And then you start to see later on people coming in and they're gradually getting more and more drained and depleted. And then we're still waiting for our friend and we're thinking, oh man, what happened? Like, is he all right? What's going on? And then he starts, you can see him and he's like staggering and swaying, and, you know, and he's, to his credit, he's still moving and he's moving towards the finish line. And
Yeah.
so, you know, it's that analogy of, you need to take breaks along the way to get where you're going. And how you're going to cross the finish line depends on the habits that you have. So he trained to get there. He was on his bike. He was doing the things that are the collection of habits in order to finish that leg of the race, you know. And so by the time he got to the finish line, he was, you know, sort of the zoned out zombies, like barely, he was like swaying. He fell on the finish line. He sat up, he threw up, he crawled over. You know, it was the whole like, oh man, this is not the elite finish you're looking for. But the analogy is there, is that along the way, he was refueling, you know, he was slowing down to take little pauses, or, you know, being able to nourish his body and get to where he wanted to go. And so your habits are those equivalents of how you show up consistently to get to the place that you want to get. And so it is a collection of choices. And that's really what it comes down to. And our habits are based on our identity and how we see ourselves. Do you see yourself as a healthy person who prioritizes how they feel? Or are you a busy person that has no time for any of that? It really is what we prioritize is what we'll make time for, and that will impact the decisions that we make and therefore the habits that we have.
So what are some good habits that we can all start adopting into our morning routine? You want to share maybe some of your good morning routine habits?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing is water.
Mm.
Water in the morning is really important, especially if you're like me, maybe somebody else likes coffee or tea or something like that. It's really important that you have water because we don't typically drink very much in the night, so we wake up a little dehydrated. And so a big glass of water in the morning, if your body is okay with it, add some lemon, great for your immune system. So that's a really great place to start. And another thing to do first thing in the morning, and again, this is all dependent on, how much time you have to allocate to this. That's really up to you. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 5 minutes if that's what you have. But I want you to begin to connect to your vision, the finish line, if you will, to stay with that analogy. What is that for you? What is the end chapter of the story, right? Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get our quarterly goals, our year goals, and then we stop looking at them, oh, new quarter, good, better start over. And
Right.
so
We're so
most
focused
success,
on our daily tasks that sometimes we kind of lose sight of like the end result we're looking to create.
100%. Yeah. And view that like the mountain, right? And so the quarterly tasks are the big rocks to build the mountain, the little pebbles to get you there. And so that's really, what we want to think about is connecting to the energy of that vision and going back to your goals, writing the goals down. And, either you write them, or I like to do tapping. So just lightly tapping on acupressure points, soothing for the nervous system, because I don't know, maybe you have a little bit of stress in your life. It might be good to de-stress just a little. So that's really important. And I would say that something else that's very important, considering we're both doing it now, and some of your listeners may be doing it too, we all sit way too much. We sit way too much. We tend to have rather weak posture, which I call the ouchy slouchy posture, because let's be real, it doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good. And so doing something that energizes your body, so gets you into your body, right? So that's really key. That's really important, whether it's just a couple minutes, or it's being aware of your posture as you're brushing your teeth. If you really have very minimal time, moving your body, going outside, like just waking things up, right? Because when we spend a lot of time sitting, it causes all sorts of issues, and we could go off on a tangent about the impact of sitting, but really doing a little something to literally stoke your inner fire first thing in the morning, rev up your metabolism, but also, your inner energy level, and stoke that fire of passion and purpose so that you're ready to go, right? You're ready to go for the day. You're not just like, oh, okay, give me some coffee. I'm going on Instagram now. Now I'm on TikTok. Now I'm on Facebook. And now I got to go check my email. And, all of that, like, so that you are turned on, like you're sparked up, you're ready. That's what I would start with.
So that's one of the changes. I just recently moved to Florida. Well, gosh, it's been like 8 months already, but one of the things that I love about being here, well, two of the things. One of them is that I am not trapped in the house for 7 months out of the year. Second is I get up and play pickleball every morning. And so that's my way to get out and get my body moving and stretch and just kind of laugh and make, like create that positive energy. And if it wasn't for that, I used to just get up, walk to my office, sit down, work, go out with friends, go to sleep, sit in my office. Like it was just horrible. And so, well, my dog, but we had a fence before, but now my second thing I have to do is walk my dog every day. Like I have to do that. I have no choice, which is good. It's making me get out there. So, I think for entrepreneurs, when we work at home or anybody that's working from home, we almost have to create those intentional appointments, whatever it is. Like, I don't like getting up and being out so early in the morning, but once I'm out there, it's worth it. And then it makes me more productive. And there's to get started on it, I think is a little challenging, but once you do it and you create those appointments in your life, it really will help you.
100%. And I do agree with you. I think that it really needs to be scheduled in. Because what we schedule, we are typically more likely to follow through on. And you're making it a priority when you do that, when you schedule it and you're seeing it visually on your calendar. It's a great reminder. It's a great reinforcement. It starts to shift your identity. I'm a person who cares so much about how I feel that I make it a priority. I do it first and whatever it is, right? And I love that you're out there and you're having social time, you're getting fresh air, you're moving your body in lots of different directions. Like that's brilliant. The pickleball is such a fun thing. I love that it's become such a big trend. It's so great. And I love that you're doing that. And so that's the thing is, there's the later syndrome. I'll get to it later.
Yeah. Someday, one day. Someday, one day.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Which
So
rarely doesn't happen.
well, it will happen someday, one day, but when is that going to be? 2 years from now, right? And maybe, right. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. All right. So somebody is listening right now and they don't have, pickleball to go to every morning, and they don't have a dog to walk, and they sit at their computer for way too many hours of the day, or just sit, whatever they're doing in their job. What are some things that you can, and maybe we're off topic, I don't know, is this in alignment with waking your inner warrior? Why don't we go give some suggestions on what people can do, and then maybe if you want to transition to how we can awaken our inner warrior, because I don't know, I want to know how to do that.
Absolutely. They are essentially one and the same, because it comes from within. It comes from you. And so it is about how you're feeling, how you are, where you are in your body, right? If we're in the go, go, go and the work, 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 we're in our head. And so awakening your inner warrior means cultivating that awareness of how you feel in each moment, cultivating awareness of your body so that you feel strong, you feel grounded, you feel centered, right? That's really what it means. So what can you do to do that? Well, use your body. Use your body, go outside if you can, and so if it's a warm season and you can go outside, and if you only have a few minutes, to standing with your feet on the earth, which has a lot of beautiful benefits to it, move your body in a way that's fun for you. And some people will say, oh, it's just none of it's fun for me. Okay, well, maybe you haven't done as much looking into options yet, but if it's fun for you to dance, do that. If it's fun for you to do yoga, do that. It really is about that inner spark, that inner vibrancy. That's what it means to awaken your inner warrior. And so what does that look like for you? And especially when it comes to people that are sitting a lot, typically that means waking up your sleeping booty. Yes, it's a thing. It's called gluteal amnesia, but it's totally a thing. We all sit way too much, but it is waking up the back of your body so that you can hold that strong posture. Right. And so that means just standing in strong posture. If you're waiting for your sink to fill up while you're washing dishes, we can add these things in because it all is cumulative. But if you're looking at it from a morning routine perspective, is what can you do to move your body, move the blood in your body so that you're awakening your muscles, right? Because the more we move the energy in your body, which is, in yoga, we call it prana, martial arts call it chi, some people just call it oxygen, but we're moving it through your entire body so that you can invigorate your body. So that can be strength training, it can be some body weight exercises, it can be gardening, walking your dog, pickleball, whatever it is, turning on YouTube, finding something, doing some yoga with me. I have some great options for that. And so it really is something that feels good to you. It shouldn't feel like this obligation and a chore, because now you heard it on the podcast and now you feel like you should do it. We want to find something that does feel supportive to you, because the more fun you have with it, just like you and your pickleball, the more fun you have, the more consistent you are because you like it. You like how you feel, because the key to you being consistent with anything is seeing the impact and seeing the results and feeling good after. So we want to create that connection, because that was what will begin to rewire it in your brain of, oh, wow, that feels good. I really feel good right now. Because when we exercise in the morning, as you mentioned, it does make you more productive significantly. Some studies find it to be upwards of 72% more productive throughout the day. So when you notice, okay, on the days when I do my little mini 5-minute yoga or 5-minute dance break or whatever, notice your day. Do you feel like you're more on point? Do you feel like you're a little more creative? You're patient with your team. You're not snappy, when the dog is sniffing the 800th thing and you want to get back to, notice the effect that it has. And I laugh because my dog is like the sniffiest of the sniffy, and it takes us forever to get anywhere. And I'm like, I live on Maui. And so for me, when he's sniffing, I'm like, okay, just stand here, just enjoy it. If he's going to sniff and stand, you just look around, and use what's happening as a reminder to become present. That's it, is to break the habit of being busy and start to build the habit of being present. That's really what all of this comes down to.
Yeah. But so that's where you connect the body and the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
So we're doing things to get our body, oxygen flowing in our body, getting active, and then being present. So getting your mind all focused so you can kind of eliminate the busyness and just enjoy the moment, right?
Absolutely. And that's what helps us to get into what's often called the flow state, is we're turning off the noisy chatter of the mind, and you're in that zone, if you will, the zone of creativity or inspiration, because that area of you lives in a very different part of your brain than the stressed out and the frantic, frazzled, worn out entrepreneur part of you. It lives in a very different part of your brain. And that part of your brain is only accessed when you're calm, because it's not anywhere close to the stressed out part of you by no means. It is nowhere close to that. And so when you're in that different state, you are literally on the level of your brain, which is, at the deepest level of your being. When it comes to your physiology, of the level of your nervous system, you're in a totally different space. And so that's where we want to keep coming back to as much as we can, so that we can really tap into it in any given moment. And when we notice that when we got wobbly and we got pissed off or whatever it was, what can you do? What can you do to come back? And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to go get a massage. I'm just going to go outside for a second. I'm just going to go outside and I'm going to breathe, and maybe I'll take the dog for a walk. And while he sniffs the 800th thing, I'll just stand there and I'll just be calm for a second, and so it really is like putting the tools to use. And that's really the application of it, is where the power comes from.
So you keep mentioning the dog. So right before this show, I had like a 5-minute break, and I'm like, my dog is looking at me. I knew she had to go out. You're in your, when you have no time, it seems to be that's when they can't figure out when to do their business. So I'm completely relating to that. But I kind of had to just like, at least this time, I'm like, all right, I can't worry about it. Just relax. It's going to happen when it's happened. Megan can wait a minute if we're not back in time,
Totally.
You can't sweat the small stuff. So if we have somebody right now that's that frantic, frazzled person, what would be the first thing that you encourage them to do? Because you've mentioned a lot of great things, right? And I also know that as far as our body goes, body in motion stays in motion. And so somebody that isn't in motion, they may hear about, all of these ideas and they think, well, I can't do that. It's just too much. But if they do one little thing and get started, that will get them in the right mind frame and the right energy to hopefully keep continuing.
Yes, I would say that even right now, we can do it together. So if we push our chairs back, if you're sitting and if it's comfortable for you, you could.
Oh, you just muted yourself. There you go. Okay.
I know, I did it because I didn't want you to hear my chairs rolling on the ground. So push your chair back so that you can sit up really tall.
Yep.
And then shoulders back. And ideally, if you're listening to this and you're walking your doggy or whatever, just pause. Or if you're standing and you're doing something, just pause and stay standing tall. So what I want you to do is we're going to take one hand onto your tummy and one hand onto your chest, as long as you don't need your hands for something else.
And it doesn't matter right or left hand, right? Either which way. Okay, perfect. Because they can't see you. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're.
Yes, absolutely. Great question. Yeah. Luckily with yoga, there's rarely a wrong answer. So you do whatever feels good to you. And then, so shoulders are back, and then go ahead and close your eyes, only if it's safe. If you're driving, please obviously keep them open. But I want you to just, wherever you are, take a big, deep breath into your belly. Breathe as deeply as you can, as though you're inflating your whole body. And now sit a little bit taller as you breathe out. Yeah. So inhale and lift up. Stay tall as you breathe out, and try to get taller. Get taller.
I could totally feel that in my core. I'm like, oh, I got to work on my core. That I could totally feel that.
Good. That's a good sign. It's all information, right? It's just all information. Try again. Big, deep breath. And breathe it all the way out. Good. And now roll your shoulders back, and you're going to stretch your arms wide. Doesn't matter what direction they go, just stretch them wide, but keep them in line with your body. Bring them down a little bit so they're more pointing towards the ground. Okay. So you can't see us, but remember Kate Winslet on the Titanic, that scene where she's right on the edge of the boat? Yeah, that's it.
That's us right now. I have things in the way, but kind of.
Bring your arms closer if you got things in the way. So shoulders back, and then lift up through your chest again. So get tall, breathe in. And then stay tall, breathe out. Shoulders back, lift through the center of your chest. Imagine you're like a Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
Good.
visual of I'm on the front of the Titanic right now.
Yes, but you live forever. Good news. You live forever.
Yes.
So, okay, one more time. And
We're
now I
not
want you to
going
think,
down with the ship. No way.
no, we're going to fly away. So remember Kate Winslet, imagine she's a Care Bear. So I want you to imagine that you're going to lift your chest up and you're like a little Care Bear. Ah, good. Now big deep breath in and exhale. Just let your arms drop to wherever. You can let your hands rest by your sides or on your leg. Close your eyes. Before we even respond, I want you to just tune in and take one more breath. And I want you to notice if there's any difference. It might be subtle, it might be rather obvious, but is there any difference?
Well, I feel like I'm sitting up straighter now. I feel like I'm taller, like taller, like I'm just more, I mean, I try to sit straight, but it doesn't always work. So I feel that helped me kind of feel like my rib cage is opened up more. My chest is open more, and I don't feel a lot of stress on my shoulders from doing that. Feels good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that literally was less than a minute, and there's a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
So that's where I would start, because as you mentioned, we can have really good intentions. I feel like I try to sit up, but the reality is that as soon as we get focused on something, we're like, oh, let me get a little closer, and your head kind of
Exactly. Or you're working, and the next thing you know, you're like this, right? But yeah,
Am I
I was
100 years
hunched
old?
over, right?
Exactly. And so that's why having the little morning routine or doing these little posture breaks throughout the day is a little reset. And it literally doesn't take long. And it can be one of those things that you add on, when you're waiting for something to download and you're like, oh, maybe I'll go check Facebook while this is downloading or whatever you do. And so just allow yourself that second to come into the body, open yourself back up, because whether it's posture and technology or gravity, it's always having its way with you. And so
We're not going to talk about gravity.
I know we don't, but it's a real thing.
I know. Trust me, I know.
We all know. I know it's one of those things that we're grateful for it, but woof, it's having a little thing, and it's having a way with us. So doing stuff like that's a really great place to start. And again, it doesn't take long, and 3 deep breaths is an impactful shift for your body and your nervous system.
Can I share one little thing that I try now? Of course, I'm not an expert, but I started doing 1 plank a day. Started 30 seconds at first, but doing a plank and doing it in a way that your posture is the way it should be. I find that even still, I've graduated to longer and more times a day, but I can feel my thighs waking up. I can feel my back, like doing it, and you're doing it right. You can feel everything just getting awakened. And that has been a really great thing for me to do, to just kind of get my body, when I feel stiff or when I feel like I'm sitting too long, I kind of connect it with every time I go to the bathroom, I'm going to do a little plank. And that really has helped me just kind of keep my body kind of like awake during the day.
Yay. Love it. That's great. That's so great. And that's, again, it's cumulative. It adds up. And when you link it up to something you're already doing, that it's called habit stacking. And so it's really effective because you already have that cue of, oh, I'm going to the toilet. Okay, I'll do my 30-second plank or whatever after the fact. And it really is. It's an awakening process.
It's been huge.
Because we all go to sleep, and it's huge, right?
Yeah.
It is. We need that reminder throughout the day. Having morning routine is great, but little things throughout the day to give yourself that little perk and pick me up is really, really helpful to stay in your body, to keep things awake, to have less tension, have less pain, which means more energy, more clarity, more focus, more joy, which are all the good things we want more of. And so it's very aligned and also very effective.
Yeah. Well, I could like keep asking you questions all day, but what I want to talk about is your book, because I've been seeing what you're doing. I know you have a launch coming up really soon. I saw you with some things coming up at Barnes and Noble. Kind of like go into what that, I know she's like, yeah, and I like, that's really cool. The whole thing is really cool. We talked about that before I hit record, but why don't you talk about your book? It's called, you tell me what it's called. It's called
The Warrior's Journey.
There you go. I didn't have my notes ready, but yes, go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. So it's called The Warrior's Journey, Ancient Wisdom for the Modern Entrepreneur. we spoke a little bit about it earlier, the inspiration behind it. And so remember when I was telling you about that moment when my soul and spirit told me, you're a warrior, you know what to do, you'll figure this out, there's another way for you. Well, I didn't really know what that meant. And so I decided to go a little deeper and reintroduce myself to the only warriors that I knew, the ones that I had met in yoga. And so a lot of people who've done yoga before have done some of the warrior poses. They're pretty commonly used, and because they're powerful. But what a lot of people don't know is that there's actually an ancient story behind the poses that teaches you all about yourself. It's a metaphor for the journey that we're on as we go through the different ups, downs, and all arounds and challenges, and especially as entrepreneurs, because let's be real, that's the name of the game. And so it really is about teaching you to find that strength and stability within yourself so that you can show up, you can own the stage, you can write the story, share the book, write the book, whatever it is that you're going to do from that place of center and from that place of connection. And the journey, as I mentioned, is a metaphor for going to battle with the most challenging of all opponents, which we've also spoken to. Our mind, yes, you got it. Yeah, you got it. We all can point at our head. Oh, it's challenging. And so in the book, we talk about the inner shifts that are required for the outer results that you're looking for so that you can harness your inner strength and power and bring your big vision to life. So it really is the book that I wish that I had 17 years ago, because it talks candidly about, some of the stories of what it means to be an entrepreneur and what I thought it would be like and what it was actually like. I didn't turn my laptop into an ATM the first time I created my first online course. That didn't happen. But a lot of learning along the way, and really giving and sharing the tools in a way that I know will be really impactful and helpful for your community. Plus a lot of what we've been speaking to, and different exercises, different embodiment tools, different mini yoga practices, all built into the book so that you have a guidebook to get to where you want to go. So it's not your average self-help book. No. It is really a deep dive into you so that you can become the most fullest and vibrant expression of yourself by awakening your inner warrior.
Well, I love it. I am super excited to get a copy when it first comes out. And I know you actually have two gifts that you're going to share with our audience. One that's more time limited. We don't know how long it's going to be. So if you hear this show, make sure you go to the link and get the free gift that's associated with her new book. You want to talk about what that is?
Yes. So everyone that jumps in the first little bit of the release, so the book is being released on June 20th. So for the first month after, we're going to be doing a VIP book club. So inside the book club, there'll be all sorts of prizes and giveaways and a global party of amazing people on a mission, because we are creating a movement of people doing that, and also yoga practices and lots of fun stuff in there. So the book club is a beautiful gift for you. So I'd love to connect with you in there. But if you happen to miss that window, if you hear this after July, then there is a special gift for you, because I love you too. And I want you to have something awesome. And so that is the 3-step mini morning routine, which is, we talked a little bit about it today, the importance of it, but that will help you to create your own that works for you, that integrates the tools that we've been talking about here. And then you can jump into that by clicking the link in the bio. So they'll both be in the show notes. So both of those links will be in the show notes for you to check out.
Yeah. So make sure if you hear this, jump into both of those links right away. I know one will be evergreen. You'll get it forever. But the other one is time limited. And you want to make sure you get in the book club, because it sounds like there's going to be a lot of great extra benefits to being in that club, which I'm super excited to join in.
Yay. Yes.
And if you want to connect with Megan, the rest of the contact information, links, all of that, however you want to get a hold of her, whether it's check out her website, you want to connect with her on Instagram or Facebook, or we'll have all of those different resources in the show notes, as well as the free gift links. And of course, if you listened to anything you heard today from Megan and you took a bunch of notes like I did, please share them with somebody you know. I feel like I do say this every episode, but it is so true that we learn more and we retain more if we teach others, and you're spreading the love. So, if you want to get those free resources, share them with somebody you know, they can get them as well. And of course, if you like our show, make sure you give us some love, because that's the best way for us to keep getting amazing guests like Megan. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And of course, I want to thank you, Megan. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been really fun for sure. And I'm so excited to hear everybody's takeaways. So yes, would definitely love to connect in those places and come and hang out with us in the book club. It's going to be a party. And I can't wait to hear what you think of the book, because I know it's going to be a game changer for you as well.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you. We will see you on the next show. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Mastery Unleashed podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams by turning their mess into their greatest message and following their purpose to help the people who need their newfound wisdom and resources. To learn more, visit masteryunleashedpodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review to this show.